Welcome back, deep divers. We're diving deep into a lecture by Neville Goddard today.
That's right. It's called What is Truth? From December 8th, 1963.
We've got the transcript right here. Oh, and it's not just Goddard talking,
No, there's this really interesting moment where someone in the audience shares a personal experience, a vision she had.
Oh, right before the lecture even started. Pretty wild.
It really ties in with what Goddard's talking about, too.
So we're going to try to unpack all that, see what Goddard meant by truth, because, well, he looked at it from all these different angles.
You'll get those aha moments you're always looking for, and we'll respect your time, promise.
So what is truth? According to Neville Goddard, at least. Let's find out.
Goddard jumps right in, tackles this huge question by looking at a super famous scene from the Bible, the one with Pilate and Jesus from John chapter 18.
Oh, yeah, where Pilate just comes right out and asks him, what is truth?
Exactly. And what's interesting is that Goddard points out that Jesus doesn't answer him directly, not with words anyway.
So why the silent treatment?
Well, Goddard suggests that real truth, the deepest kind, is kind of like this ever-increasing illumination.
Like it's not something fixed and solid, huh?
Right. More like something that keeps unfolding, becoming clearer as you understand more. And he says you can't really explain that to someone like Pilate, someone who's stuck in his head, just thinking things through with logic.
Pilates looking for that truth you can prove, right? Like if you say, hey, I'm rich.
Then you got to show me the money, literally. Bank statements, assets, all that stuff to back it up.
It's got to line up with what's real, what everyone can see.
That's where judgment depends on what's outside of you. Proof. But Goddard's saying, hey, there's a whole other level of truth.
Which takes us straight to Mark 11.24.
Yes. Whatever you desire, when you pray, believe you have received, and you will. Powerful stuff.
This is like, truth isn't what is, but what you make it.
It's about shaping the future with your belief, what you assume to be true. Goddard's big on actually testing this out, too.
So, like, you pretend something's true, even if it doesn't look like it right now.
Yeah, you assume you already have what you want, and then you just, stick with that no matter what.
And if it happens, if you get what you wanted, that means you've tapped into this deeper kind of truth, right?
You got it. You've gone beyond needing proof, beyond what anyone else says. You've proven it to yourself. And this is where that story from the audience comes in, the lady who had the vision.
Tell me about that. What happened?
So just before the lecture, this woman stands up and tells everyone she had this vivid experience. She heard this voice saying, most people can't part with what they don't want long enough to get what they do want.
Whoa, heavy stuff.
And what's even weirder, she woke up in the middle of the night to write it down, but couldn't remember it in the morning. But it was there, written on the paper.
Like it came from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Beyond her normal thinking mind.
And Goddard's like, hey, everyone here, you all made the effort to come tonight.
So maybe you're not like most people who can't let go of what they don't want.
Exactly. You're already open to something new, willing to explore different ideas.
It's like you got to keep that desired state in mind, even when things around you are telling you it's not real yet.
And that leads right into the whole Barabbas thing.
Oh, yeah, the guy they choose instead of Jesus. What was Goddard's take on that?
Well, he saw Barabbas as the symbol of what steals our dreams, the facts of life that make it hard to believe in what we want.
Like those things you can see and touch that seem to contradict what you're trying to achieve.
Your money problems, health issues, those things, they feel so real that they rob you of the truth you're trying to build.
So choosing Barabbas is like choosing to stay stuck, right? Like you go for what's familiar, even if it's not what you really want.
It all comes back to that lady's vision, not being able to let go of what we don't want. It's tough to let go, even when it's bad for us.
We cling to what we know.
Now, Goddard then shifts gears and gets into this really deep idea, the oneness of God and humanity.
He starts with the most important Jewish prayer, the Shema. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord.
And he gets into how it's not just about one God, but about unity.
Compound unity is how he puts it, right?
Exactly. He breaks down the Hebrew words, pointing out that Elohim, which means God, is actually plural.
While the Lord is talking about the singular I am.
So it's like I am, our I ams is one I am.
Meaning we are all part of the same divine I am.
We're all connected, different expressions of the same thing. And this isn't just some abstract idea, it changes how we treat each other.
It's why we're supposed to love your neighbor as yourself.
Right, because your neighbor is you, in a way. Like God is kind of split up in this world.
We're all walking around saying I am, but there's only one real I am.
And he talks about this vision he had where he saw this one being made up of all people, all races,
And he realized, I am he and it's you.
showing how deeply connected we all are. And from this unity, he moves into the power of imagination.
Which he says is everything, quoting William Blake. Man is all imagination, and the eternal body of man is the imagination, and that is God himself.
Yeah, it's not just daydreaming, it's literally how we create our reality.
He uses the example of flowers that don't exist, but he can imagine them.
He smells them, feels them, acts as if they're really there. And by doing that, he's saying they can eventually become real.
It's about using your mind to shape what you experience.
Yeah.
And he connects this to falling asleep, believing that what you want is already true.
You're living in that reality in your mind as you drift off to sleep. Powerful stuff.
And what about when what we see around us doesn't match up with what we want? He talks about the potter and the spoiled vessel from Jeremiah, right?
Yeah, instead of throwing away the messed up clay, the potter just reshapes it into something new. And Goddard says we can do that with people.
Instead of rejecting them or arguing, we change how we see them in our minds.
Like if someone's being difficult, instead of getting frustrated, imagine them being kind and understanding.
You're creating a new version of them in your mind and focusing on that.
It's like the lady's vision again, letting go of the unwanted reality. We get so stuck on what's wrong.
But we have the power to focus on the good, the desired outcome.
And while truth is important, Goddard says there's something even bigger.
Love.
Love beyond truth. It's a huge statement.
He gives this example of lying to a murderer to save someone's life. Sometimes love is more important than telling the literal truth.
It's about protecting each other. And that ties back into the oneness we talked about.
Because hurting someone else is like hurting yourself.
Yeah.
And he describes this experience of being with infinite love, who is Christ Jesus.
Where he felt completely unified with that love.
It's like this level of connection that's hard to grasp from where we are now. And on that level, even things like the laws of physics might not apply the same way.
He hints that gravity and stuff might not be so rigid when you're operating from that higher state of consciousness where imagination is in control.
It's mind-blowing. And going back to Barabbas, Goddard says we tend to choose him because we trust what we see and feel more than we trust our own power.
We choose the law, the evidence of our senses, even when it keeps us from a higher truth. He tells this story about his friend, a psychiatrist, who always had to touch something to feel real.
While Goddard himself manifested being honorably discharged from the army just by assuming it was true every night before sleep.
And he was very specific, saying, not furlough, but honorably discharged.
It wasn't just a wish, it was a clear, definite picture in his mind.
Which shows the importance of really focusing on what you want and believing it completely. And get this, Goddard says that everything said about Jesus will eventually happen to each of us.
It circles back to the Shema and the idea that we are all expressions of the Father.
It explains why David called Christ Father. It's pointing to that ultimate unity.
And he contrasts John the Baptist, who focused on outward actions and earning salvation,
With Jesus Christ, who taught about inner transformation and that the kingdom of heaven is a gift.
like in that radio interview where Goddard says he's following Jesus' teachings and that the kingdom isn't earned, it's given.
It's a complete shift from doing to being, from trying to earn it to just accepting it.
And outward goodness is natural, but it's not how you get to the kingdom.
Right, it comes from within. And finally, he tells a story about his brother, Victor, who had this vision in his mind for 2 years.
He held on to it silently, persistently, and it eventually became reality.
Showing the incredible power of just assuming something is true, even without any outward signs.
So to wrap it all up, truth isn't just one thing, it works on different levels.
There's the truth we can see and prove, but also the deeper truth of what we want and believe.
And our imagination is the tool we use to create that truth.
And at the root of it all is this idea that we are all connected and that love is the most powerful force there is.
So deep divers, think about what truth means to you now, after hearing all of this.
How can you use the power of assumption in your own life?
What if your imagination isn't just fantasy, but a way to shape your reality?
We hope this deep dive has given you some things to think about, to explore further.
Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Keep diving deep.